Hey, what is going on, everybody? East Tactics here. Now, my goal of this video, the biggest goal of this video is going out and testing these springs right here on my vehicle. These are the custom springs from centurysprings.com. They are the 10548, 100 millimeters long, all four of them. And these are for a vehicle that's in the 15 to 16 pound plus range. This is what I currently have on my vehicle right now. As you guys know, or you may not know if you're new to my channel, my vehicle with all my upgrades weighs over 16 pounds, which, you know, has always just begged the need for a much stronger spring, right? There's a place about 2 miles from here. There's a construction site. We're gonna see if we can't rip it there, get some good air, and test these springs. For those of you that have a vehicle that might be a little bit lighter, then I would recommend you jumping over to centurysprings.com and picking up this setup here. 13 to 15 pounds. You're gonna get part number 12477 for your fronts and part number 1631 for your rear. And you're gonna want 3K diff fluid in your shocks with the M2C shock caps. Now, I actually have been alerted by a fellow subscriber that he put an order in for 8 of these, and they told him that there was only 6 in stock. I was really hoping we were never going to run into a stock issue directly from a spring manufacturer. However, he did pay for all 8 of them, and they told him that the other 2 would be on back order, which tells me that they've got some sort of a queue to tell them that they need to make more. I also I'm in communication currently with the manufacturer just to, you know, let them know that, hey, there's gonna be a lot of people ordering these springs. Maybe you guys should up your inventory on them. Just a heads up. But hopefully, you know, you guys can find these in stock soon. This setup here, even for a 16-pound vehicle, I would say is still a massive upgrade. These springs are still double or a little bit more than double your stock spring. And so this is a great setup. Now, one thing you do need to know that on the rear ones, the ends don't come shaved off, like, right, you see how that's flattened? This right here is actually one of the beast springs. I don't actually have these 2 in stock at the moment, but it comes where the end is not flattened. So you'll have to take for 2 of your springs and you know, grab your Dremel or whatever, and basically shave down the end so that it gets back to being flat. Anyway, guys, so another thing that I wanted to kind of report on really quick, I came in the other day and I couldn't find my little 850 milliamp battery, 3S battery that I used to run my 2 fans, and I had left it plugged in after I had put it on a balance charge, and I just like unplugged this, and that was a huge mistake. Make sure that you unplug them after it's done, even if you've unplugged your battery charger, because for whatever reason, I have no idea why, but it completely discharged my battery, and it provides for an unsafe circumstance, I suppose, if your batteries get discharged. But when I tried to plug it in to my charger to charge it, it said low voltage, and so I just went ahead, I ordered a new one, and I took the bad one to a local battery disposal place and got rid of it. So in the meantime, though, I went ahead and I was like, you know what? I've installed my external BEC, and so now I'm running 7.4 volts to my whole system. And so I was like, you know what? I wonder if I were to just take where I normally plug this into right here and just make a little connector to plug right into my ESC and power. This is basically a splitter on a switch. So it's gonna power both of these fans from my ESC. And instead of it being at 6 volts, it's at 7.4 volts, which is only about, you know, 65–70% of the power that you can and should run to these fans. But I'm like, you know what? It's better than nothing, right? So this came in so fast, though. I literally ordered it on Amazon, and the next day it arrived. So I've already got it. But I figure on this bash that I'm about to do, this is a great opportunity for me to just initially run for about 5 or 6 minutes by powering both of these fans just from the 7.4 volts. And let me show you how loud it is on 7.4 volts real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and unplug this and just plug it straight into my 3S battery. Okay, so yeah, a significant difference in the amount of airflow you're going to be throwing over your ESC and your motor. But the real question is, on a warm day, right now it's about 4 o'clock, so it's about as hot as it's going to get here in Utah. I'm going to try it first with the 7.4 volts and just see if it keeps my motor cool. Right here is a quick overview of the temperatures that you want your vehicle to be at when it comes to the ESC and the motor. I'll put that up on screen now. And let's just see if, running it at that lower power is enough to keep it in those ranges. And if it's not, then we're going to go ahead and plug in the 3S battery and see if that dramatically drops the temperature. Just a nice quick test to see. Anyway, so let's get this out to the bash course and have some fun with it. Another thing that I'm going to be paying special attention to on this bash is the body. As you guys know, I've gone in and I've done the Rhino lining on my body, and I've also put in a liner along the edges. This will be a good test for that. So I want to report on the Rhino lining. So far I have done a few batches and I've had no problems. So obviously I'm going to continue reporting on the success of the Rhino lining over the next, 6 to 8 months with you guys as I continue to drop videos. And we're really going to tell whether or not it turns to this after a year or it stays hard and strong. I did get my new servo in, the Power Hobby 760 MG. This sucker is legit. It boasts at 7.4 volts. You're going to look at the second paragraph down in the middle. 49 kilograms or 680 ounces in torque at 7.4 volts, which currently the Savox SW1210SG is only running 444 with 7.4 volts, which is a huge increase. And I already denoted the difference between your 6 volts going to the Savox and your 7.4 volts in this video. But we're gonna retest, I'm gonna install this in there, because one of the things that I noticed was when I'm in grass, that even at 444 volts, this thing goes to about right there. And you see that there's a gap between, it's hard to see it, but this little notch that comes out and this right here, you can actually see it's kind of scuffed up right there because this butts up against that. So anyway, in grass, this only goes to about here because the servo's not strong enough and it just basically gives up at that point. But if I have, and that's at 444 volts. So the goal is with this heavy duty servo that even in grass, it's gonna force it to go all the way to there, and it'll probably tweak the servo and the tires may or may not move. But the point is that at least the servo arm is maxing out and not basically having a lack of strength to get from point A all the way to point B. And I feel like that's the reason why I'm deciding to go with a heavier duty, upper echelon servo, is because this one doesn't have the strength to tweak that servo saver all the way open to get it fully pressed forward. I'm also going to be going in and experimenting in an upcoming video where I add a third snap ring down in there, and it's going to make it to where the servo saver is even tighter. So there is a more likelihood chance, especially after having the new servo, that my tires, even in grass, are going to have more movement, especially when you got these giant beefier tires, so that you're out in the field and you're maximizing your turning 100% in all circumstances. So anyway, guys, that is enough waffling at the bench. See you at the bash course. So just a quick reminder, I am running the fans right now off my ESC. They're only running at 7.4 volts. So let's see if it stays cool. We'll check it in about 5 minutes, and then we'll pump it up to the 3S battery, which is a ton more power on those fans, to see if that actually makes a dramatic difference. Oh, I actually did land it. Okay, I'm gonna come straight at this though. Let's try that again. No.
Are you still able to drive it?
Yeah, but it's gonna take some wrenching.
Okay, let me turn it off. That sucks.
All right, guys, so came down, had a rough landing, and one nice thing about this though is the turnbuckle itself. The rod is fine, and I've got tons of these things, and so it's an easy repair. What sucks is when you break one of these things and you've got to repair that. So I don't know, I just think it was a bad landing. I still think that this mod is an upgrade, especially when you're breaking the plastics and not the actual rod. So at least that's one win. But anyway, I do believe I have an extra, so let me go ahead and put that on and we'll get back at it. All right, so I'm having to remove these tires because I'm going to be using some glue. Hopefully it'll repair this, but if you look, it came off. So I'm going to throw my other tires on that I brought. Let's do it. Hopefully I got a little bit of battery left. See what other trouble we can get into.
Oh, oh, that was a chassis slap. Oh, if I do say so. LVC cutoff, boys. All right, let's take a look at it. So far, I will definitely say I'm happy with the shocks. I am going to experiment though with the 9 and 10 pound shocks, just to see if having a little bit of sag makes it to where you can go faster with less kind of obstructions from, like, you know, the gravel and the terrain. So both fans are spinning just fine. On that chassis, let me turn the fans off. So definitely came down hard on that cement, and chassis still straight as an arrow. M2C chassis, baby, all the way. That backwards. I need to flip it. That might be why I'm getting a little bit less turning to one side. But yeah, she's great. Everything's solid. Yeah, LVC cutoff. So, all right. I do think this was a really good test for the body. Looking it over, it just looks dirty. I'm not seeing any cracking in this area or along here. Really? A train right now? Gosh. Yeah, I'll talk about it when I get back to the... All right, guys. When I get back to my workbench, we'll go ahead and do a close inspection of the whole body, see if there's any damage anywhere, and just talk a little bit about the springs and what I thought. See you there.
All right, guys. I am back. And so here's the verdict on these shock springs. I do like them as much as the Nero Springs. That's the second time I've said it, and I'm happy with the way they work. I do think that it's worth trying, so I have ordered the 12477 1631s for the 16 pound plus vehicle. I have here saying 13 to 15 pounds, but you know, after having a buddy order those and retrofit them onto his is 14 pounds, so mine's 2 pounds heavier. Granted, I did rip the seal on one of my tires, so now I'm gonna be running these for a little while, which are much lighter tires. So the tires really don't have a ton to do with sag, because the sag has to do with the weight in the center of the vehicle, right? But I'm gonna implement these ones because he got a little bit of sag. So I'm actually anxious to see if my drop distance is still in the 25, 20 plus range. And if it is, then I will shift my preference over to these 12477 1631 combo and report to you guys, let you know how much of a difference is had when you've got the 9 and 10 pound springs versus your 12 pound springs, which are these ones, and incorporating a little bit of sag. So all in all though, guys, I will say that as far as the Nero, the ARRMA Nero shock springs, I do like these springs right here, the 105/4/8 just as much. They're very similar. They do provide a 25-inch drop from height and without chassis slap, which is basically just incorporates a ton of protection to your shocks. Now, after that bash, I will say, let me grab my body. Hi, Nova. That there is zero damage, you know, other than just it being dirty to my body. You're not starting to see any cracks or anything along this section underneath the front window. There's no cracks or anything along the nose. This body lining that I put on, in my opinion, is huge. So the Rhino lining on the whole underside, I am definitely stoked that it's doing a great job. But even more so, this body lining along the edges, which I have here, which I will incorporate in my mod box giveaway. Anyway, guys, that's a wrap on this bash video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you stay tuned for future videos, which will incorporate the difference in this higher quality servo. Let's see if we can actually maximize full steering of this servo saver arm all the way up to that butt stop. Whether or not the tires are in grass or whatever, it should still be able to push it all the way there. And I think the jump from 444 ounces to like 680 is gonna do that. Stay tuned for that update. Also, I am still going to be experimenting with these springs right here, which are the Beast springs. These things are insane. I mean, they're going to be stiff as all get out, but if I can find a way to tame them to where it's still fun to bash with it and even have more shock drop protection, then, you know, I don't think that they're going to actually work out, but I just have to test it. Another thing I'm going to be experimenting with is just throwing on the stock springs again, kind of getting back that feel of what it feels like. At the end of the day though, like, I am gonna end up having the top of the line really good as far as bashing goes, but you know what, gotta try out the old EXB shocks, and then I'll have new shocks that are a lot nicer and newer. These ones are really torn up, so it'll be nice to kind of get new shocks put on anyway. I wasn't able to break anything other than I did snap this plastic right here. What was nice though is it didn't break the actual A-arm or the actual rod itself. It just broke the plastic. I do notice that I put it on backwards. This piece right here bends like this, and I have it wrong. And I have it wrong here, so I gotta just pop that off and switch it. Now, one thing I did do in the field, instead of taking a drill bit to this piece right here to make it 5 millimeters, I just went ahead and 4-screwed this right in, which I do think actually is going to make it a little bit stronger because I'm not pulling any plastic out. I kind of just forced it to widen and instead. So if you do the turnbuckle modification, don't drill a 5 millimeter hole first and remove that little bit of plastic. Just basically force thread this 5 millimeter thick turnbuckle rod into this 4 millimeter hole. You know, you just gotta press and then it'll just force in. And I think that actually will lend a little bit of strength in this area where it's snapped. So, but anyway, I'm still extremely happy though that I didn't break the actual rod, because that rod is way more expensive and way more of a pain in the butt to fix. So, all right guys, that's a wrap for this video. Check out the description for any links to products, or if you need links to the Century Springs, or if you just have, you want to take a look. I am really happy with the fact that both my fans are still working. That is actually saying a lot. Especially after this landing right here. That is a hardcore testament to the shock mitigation, which watch my project on shock mitigation tactics implemented throughout the vehicle from this playlist. All right guys, Beast Tactics out.